All right, now there's another story. This one surrounding Russell Wilson about a pretty big question. I feel like a question that we've talked about a couple of times, but that Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer brought up on calling on the herd with Colin Cowherd, saying, "quote One of the issues Russell has had over the years is with relating to his teammates. I think one of the superpowers of a lot of the truly great quarterbacks is they can be the celebrity over here and then over here be a normal guy in the locker room." He continued to say, that's really who they are, and that's how they come off to their teammates. The ability to be a regular guy is something that Russell's never really had, which I think has caused him problems with some of his teams, with some of these teams, excuse me. Russell Wilson's gotten a lot of compliments so far. Is there a part of you that is a little bit worried that Russell Wilson may be too big of a celebrity to be in the city of Pittsburgh? Because, I mean, quite frankly, they've had Ben Roethlisberger, who's a Pittsburgh celebrity, as good as it gets, as big as it gets, but was never really in the limelight. And this is a blue collar town. You've been here, we've been here long enough to know how blue collar the city of Pittsburgh actually is.
Yeah. I don't really worry about this at all. To be quite honest with you, I get it. Russ seems like a little bit of a weirdo. But I think there are a lot of quarterbacks who are like that. I mean, I think one of the people that Albert Breer like cites in this is Tom Brady as being like, a quote unquote like normal guy. Yeah. Tom Brady was a complete freak. What are we talking about? Like Tom Brady was as big a celebrity as it comes in professional football. He was also a complete weirdo, and he was really good. And I'm not like saying that Russell Wilson is going to be Tom Brady or anything, but like who in the Steelers locker room is normal, is like a normal guy? Is George Pickens a normal guy?
No.
Is TJ Watt a normal guy?
Like, yes. TJ Watt's as blue collar as they come. Let's not act like he's not.
But like what does blue collar mean? Like, can we like get a definition on that?
TJ Watt, scary, doesn't say much, just goes to work.
Yeah, but like, how's that any better?
One taco commercial a year.
Yeah, and like, what's weird about Russell Wilson though? That he like does high knees on the plane or something like that. Like that he's a little corny sometimes. Like I think this guy still has a commitment to winning, a commitment to being really good at football, and I think that's what shines through more in a locker room, especially in a professional football locker room, than I don't know, like being someone that your like teammates want to go have a beer with at a certain point. Like, yeah, I don't know. That to me, that it seems a little overblown. I'm not as concerned about this at all. I mean, maybe I get proven wrong, and during the season, everyone's, we're talking to people and they're all trashing Russ for being a weirdo, but like, I don't know, like Russ is, I don't feel like you've heard about this is like, I think fans have talked a lot about, oh, Russ is kind of weird. Like he was doing this weird thing on the plane or whatever the hell. But like, I don't think you hear that the same thing from his teammates, like, especially in Denver, like all you heard was about how hard of a worker he was when he got kind of forced out by Sean Payton. There were a lot of teammates that came to his defense. So I don't think you do that by not being able, I don't think you get that kind of reaction if you can't relate to your teammates at all.
Look, I agree. I'm not worried. I think that's all overblown. I think in the city of Pittsburgh, you might get some yinzers, some true-blooded yinzers who are like, this guy's got to get off the TV. What are you doing? Like, get him off. Stop going on the show. Stop talking. Stop hanging out with your wife. I think you'll get some of those. But I think the rest of it, like, I find it really hard to believe. I've never met anybody in the locker room. Like, we've had some characters in the locker room. I've never met anybody who's like, that guy's too big to be here. You know what I mean? I don't like him. I've never met anybody. That's the thing about a locker room is it is every facet of life. It is every different type of human being all into one thing, and nobody cares whatsoever. There is zero care about who that person is. All they care about is they just all get along. Every single one of them get along. It's crazy. So I have no issues and no concerns about Russ being a weirdo. I got some concerns that I'm going to have to write some weird headlines this year. Like like Russ is like, jogging on the team plane and doing whatever, and like, maybe like spilled some coffee in Minka's office and started a fight or something. But besides that, like, I think everything will be totally fine. And just like you said, like he's already gotten confidence. He's already taken those steps to kind of adjust to the offense and get used to these guys. And I think that's all you were looking for. Like, I just, build a commodity and then it's fine. And I also think Mike Tomlin's the perfect coach for that. Like, I think that you get a guy who knows how to be a leader of men better than almost anybody in the NFL, maybe better than anybody in the NFL. And I get Russ as a veteran. He's been here for a long time, but I think he could still learn from Mike Tomlin.
Yeah. And I think the other side of this is like, Antonio Brown wasn't a locker room problem until like very like
True.
people were willing to put up with a lot of weird stuff from him because he was really good at football. So like, and
Russell
I'm
Wilson
not at
wasn't a
all.
locker room problem until he was gone. You know,
Yeah, like
nobody
exactly.
in Seattle when Russ was in Seattle was talking about, man, Russ is a problem. It was all
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah, and it's like to a certain extent, just play well, like win football games, and that's very obvious. But like, I don't think we're going to be hearing about, oh, Russ is a problem in the locker room or anything like that. If they, he's throwing for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns or
Yeah,
300
no,
yards or something in a
no,
game, like that.
no.
That's not going to be the story afterwards. And that's a chicken and egg thing. Like, maybe if he's a bad locker room presence, maybe that affects his play and that stuff is connected. But
Yeah,
I really don't think that stuff comes out until someone starts playing poorly. And I think that's just a product of when we're losing, we get pissed at each other. And
yes,
so I really think that as long as Russ like plays well, this isn't going to be a story at all. It's not going to matter, and I think it'll probably be used as something against him if he starts to play poorly. So I would just be careful about like assigning any super huge value to when someone says, "Oh, a guy like could be a." I mean, I take every locker quote unquote locker room cancer story with a grain of salt, just
yes,
because I think it's so dependent on who says what to who at what time, and
yeah.
narratives can get spun out of control that way. And I think I can kind of see the beginnings of something like that forming here with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, unless I am told personally, which I have been in the past. I've had players tell me like this guy was an issue. But unless that happens, I don't like I don't form those opinions. I try to stay away from those opinions because just like you said, most of the time they're just you have no idea. We're not in there. We're in the locker room for 30 minutes a day. We talk to these guys on a strictly professional basis. Sometimes you talk to them on a personal basis outside of the locker room, but you're not there. You're not there all day. You have no idea what's going on. You have no idea how everybody's feeling, let alone one guy. So I agree 100%. Got no worries on Russ, but I think it was funny. And I mean, here we are. It's a part of the season. We need OTAs, man. We need them
Yeah,
bad. Give
yeah,
give us some football. Thankfully, they'll start next weekend.